a change to college football. So this would affect everyone, everybody playing college football across the board, coast to coast. One change you would make to college football.
Well, okay, so everyone has got that one friend or family member who tells too many stories at a party or is always spouting off these crazy ideas. I call those people TMI cowboys. And actually, my boyfriend and I have a hand motion for when one of us starts telling a crazy story or idea at a party. We holster. It's a little hand signal. I feel like every time I suggest a 16-team college football playoff, all of College Football Nation looks at me simultaneously and tells me to holster. But I think we should expand the playoff. Most people agree that we should go to 8 teams. That's certainly very reasonable. I like the idea of perhaps taking it a little bit further, but I realize that's like a Wild West notion that's never going to happen, and it's crazy.
You've come to the wild, wild west here.
Yeah, but definitely 8 teams is very doable. It doesn't lengthen the season by too much more. You're not going to have to pick up too many host cities for all of those games. And I think it gives the teams that are, in the 5, 6, 7, and 8 slot, which there is some evenness there in the middle. We've seen that as we see those rankings come out every week on Sunday nights. We see that sometimes there's only the tiniest differences between 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So moving to an 18 playoff obviously gives us the chance to give everyone a fair shot, and if their teams can't make it through, well, then you can't argue anymore about being number 5. So I love the playoff. I'm so glad we have it. I just think that we should, take it a little further.
I'm with you. They created a mess, and it's much better right now with the 4 teams eligible for a national championship rather than the 2. So I'm definitely in favor of the step that's been taken, but there's a quandary to begin with. There's a flaw in the system to begin with when you have 5 conferences and you have 4 slots. And we've already seen that play out where it was like, okay, well, they definitely have an argument. And I understand that's going to cascade as you go down depending on how you slot the teams and how your selection process is devised. So in this 16-team playoff, would you have just the 5 major conferences involved, or would you open this up to 128 FBS teams?
Oh, that's a good question. I've not fleshed that part out yet in my theory, but I'd say if we're going to go ahead and go Wild West and go crazy and go 16 teams, then we might as well go ahead and open it up to everyone. Then everybody's got a shot.
So I've got a playoff format for you. Either do one of 2 things. Either separate the group of 5 and the power 5, and they play separate championships, because I just have a problem with, if I'm a group of 5 school, I'm basically playing the only sport in the only league imaginable on the face of the earth where I don't have a chance to win a national championship. I'm relegated to getting into the top 25, even if I'm undefeated, whatever. So I would split those 2, and then the Power 5 would have an 18 playoff, and the 5 conference champions would have automatic slots, and then you would select 3 wild cards based on some kind of selection process, of course. And then the group of 5 can do whatever they want. Or if you want to go to 16 teams, which I love, because this is what I would do, and I hate to steal your time here, but I just had to cut loose on this. So I would go with all 10 conference champions. And I understand the issue in terms of competitiveness, that you would have probably the 11 or 12 best teams in the country generally, and then you would have this huge gap, and you'd be selecting the 55th and the 70th best teams in the country, because the Sun Belt Conference champion, I understand, is not one of the 16 best teams in the country, but if they're playing with everyone else, then I would award all 10 conferences champions slots, and then the other 6 would come from wild cards within the Power 5, and you would have a Power 5 heavy field, but you would still represent everyone, a la the NCAA basketball tournament, and you would have that chance of the major upset.
Yeah, I like that idea too. We could film a whole other segment on like playoff expansion theory.
Oh yes, we could.
Panel together.